end up jobless. You might where you might have a pocket full of money, you end up penniless. So he does not delight in fools. Okay, so do not play with God. Now that's talking about Egypt, but since we're here, it says, and the Lord shall be known to Egypt, and to the Ethiopians, oh, I'm sorry, and the Egyptians shall know the Lord in that day. So it's going to come a time that even the Egyptians are going to be aware of who our God is, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yeah, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord and perform it. So the Egyptians who are going to be grafted in to know God, they too are going to learn how to move God on their behalf. And the words that they speak to God, they're going to have sense enough to know to perform. Okay? So now we're going to go to, because it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Hebrew or not, if you open your mouth to vow to God something, he's going to expect you to pay it. Okay? So it's better not to vow than to vow and not pay it. Be very careful of this, okay? Let you know here, offer unto God thanksgiving, glorify God. Glorify God, God gives you so much. When he gives you another day, that's another day for your soul to enter into his glory. That's a blessing whether you know it or not. Because many of us have died, many people in their past have died in their sins. And the hell, it tells you about, we're going to talk about hell too. Because hell is never full. Hell expands itself. The more people that come in, the bigger hell gets for them. And when Satan comes there, hell is moved to receive Satan. So wherever Satan tries to avoid hell, it's going to be right there. Oh no, you can go and fly way down there, but guess what? I'm gonna open my mouth just that much wider to be right there for you, waiting. So hell is removed to receive him. Offer up God thanksgiving. Always bless him. When blessings go up, when praises go up, blessings come down. Thank God. Just thank him. Even if you can't think of what to thank him for, just bless him. Thank you, Lord. You're a good, righteous God. There's so much chaos going on in this world, but thank you for keeping me and my seed. I pray for my seed all the time. My seed go through some things, but guess what? They're still on this earth, and they're still, able to sustain themselves in whatever way God has them sustaining themselves. Some of them are going through the school of hard knocks, but God is there with them. And when you're walking in God, you are going to go through some things, because he's got to allow you to suffer a while so that he can establish you. It says, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. Okay? Make sure you pay what your vows, whatever you owe God, just pay. Okay? And you're better off not to vow, because it's no sin if you never opened your mouth. But see, a lot of us like to think we can run our mouth because we just think we can do it. But sometimes you can run your mouth and it don't go in the direction. Oh, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. Oh, I forgot to hit search. Sometimes we think that we can do something, but you got to understand, you got an adversary out there. You got an enemy out there that's going to be looking to trip you up. So if you don't have to vow, don't open your mouth, because Satan is out there to set you up so that you can fail, so that you can not succeed the vow that you made before God. So be careful. Praise waited for thee, O God, in Zion, and unto thee shall the vow be performed. It's unto God that you're performing the vow, not unto man, but unto God. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to read to you a story. This story is about someone who was really sincere about what he meant when he made a vow. And when he vowed this vow, he had every intention to keep it, and actually he did keep it, but it was not what he expected. But why on earth he vowed this particular vow, it's I don't even can even begin to understand why a person would vow this vow. But this is a story about a man named Jephthah. Jephthah, if you this is in Job's 11. You can come on your own and read it from the beginning. But Jephthah, his father had multiple women in his life. I don't know if they were concubines or what, but I'm thinking that his mother probably was not. It was just something that happened, maybe, I don't know. But it said that Jephthah's mother was a harlot. She was a whore. And his other brethren's mother, his father had children, but Jephthah's mother was a harlot, a whore. And the other kids by the other women or wives or concubines, they despised Jephthah because of the strange woman that Jephthah had as a mother. So they kicked him out of the family, so to speak. They ran him off. And Jephthah was a very strong, mighty person as far as war was concerned. So Jephthah left them. And then when war came up, they came and sought Jephthah to help them fight the war. And he said, but you all despised me and kicked me out, so now you want me to help you? And he said that if they come back and help them, that they'll make them chief over them. So they made an agreement that if you help us, we'll make you chief over us. Okay? So Jephthah agreed that he would. So now Jephthah, wanting to win this war so that he would no longer be at the bottom of his family pool, but he would be at the top. He no longer wanted to be the tail, but he would now be the head. He no longer wanted to be behind, but now he would be in front of the people who despised him. So his position of being rejected would now be a position of honor. So now Jephthah says this, and Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and he said, if thou wilt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the door of the house to meet me when I return in peace from the children of Ammon shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer up a burnt offering. Okay, what Jephthah just said is that whoever cometh forth of the door of my house to meet me when he returns from war in peace from the war with the Ammons shall surely be the Lord's. He's going to give them unto the Lord, and he's going to offer them up as a burnt sacrifice. He's going to offer the first. Okay, it says whosoever. So whether it was his dog, his camel, his mule, well, it wouldn't be in a house, but whoever came forth of the door of his house, whoever was in his house, and the first person that came out of his house, or the first whatever came out of his house to meet him, he would offer them up as a burnt offering. Do you know what that's saying? That's saying that he's going to kill them and burn them. He's going to kill them and burn their body and offer it up before God as a sacrifice. Why in the world would you have made that type of vow to begin with? Which I couldn't even understand how he could even think to offer a person up as a sacrifice. An animal maybe, but you don't generally think to offer up a person as a sacrifice. Okay? But that's what he said. And it says, so Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aroer even until thou comest to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plains of the vineyard, and a very great slaughter. With a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. Okay, so this is why we have to be careful and make vows that make sense. Don't say things that don't make sense. It says, and Jephthah came to Mizpah unto the house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dance, and she was his only child. Beside her he had neither son nor daughter. Now, why would he be surprised? If you have a child, who do you expect? Number one, you've been gone a long while fighting a war. When you finally come back, why would you not expect that if you had a child that they would not come out to be the first one to come out to meet you? I don't even understand how he even made this vow. That's a vow that someone would make. That's not a vow that anybody that I know that anybody would make. I couldn't believe it. But if you were a person solo and you had no friends in the world, okay, I still wouldn't make that vow. But because that means he's got to kill somebody. But if you have a child or you have a wife or you have relatives, that's not a vow that you would have wanted to make. So of course, if he had a daughter, his daughter was going to come out to meet him with timbrels and with dance. She was happy that he was back and alive. And then it says, and it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes. Really? Are you really shocked? And it says, and said, alas, my daughter, for thou hast bought me very low. Thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. Well, my goodness. I don't understand how people are thinking. Why would you not expect that your only one daughter wouldn't be the first one to come meet you when you came home? Okay, and it says, and she said unto him, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which proceeded out of thy mouth. Forasmuch as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains, and bewail my virginity, as I and my fellows. So she and her female companions, which were also virgins, because at that time it was honorable to be a virgin, to be a young girl or a young adult or however. And virgins were honored at that time. Now we're living in a day that virgins are not honored. They're highly pressured even in school to break their virginity very, very young. So it shows you how the world has changed. Okay, and it says that I may go up and down the mountain and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. And he said go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed, and she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel. I can't pull that up anymore. And it was a custom in Israel that the fathers of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite, 4 days in a year. So they made her a memorial. They made a memorial of her sacrifice, death. Four times in a year they went up and to visit her grave situation. So understand that sometimes when we open our mouth and we ask the Lord for something, and although we are sincere and what we ask, and we mean the words that we say, and we vow it, we don't know how that vow could be turned around. So be really, really careful of that. Okay, now we're going to go into, we were talking about the murmurings of the Israelites, and then we talked about the vows of Israelites. Now we're going to go into, I'm not going to go in the order I had originally went in. I'm going to go into, because of their murmuring and complaining, I'm going to show you scriptures of how they became so nerve-wracking that God wanted to destroy them. We're just going to go to specific scriptures so that we can keep it moving. And you can, like I said, always go back on your own and reread these scriptures. But I'm just letting you know how the Israelites, showing you how the Israelites just really got on everybody's, Moses and God's nerves. Now, this is what God is saying about the Israelites because of their murmuring and complainings. Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. And Moses besought the Lord his God and said, why doeth the wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with with a mighty hand? Okay, Moses kept standing in the gap. He kept helping God to subside his anger against the Israelites because they were just that much of a nuisance. Just that much of a headache. Okay, and Moses was having to intervene because God was ready to take them out. So understand that everyone has a limit, including God. So don't be pushing his buttons. Okay. And now we're going to read where God was upset with him again. For the Lord said unto Moses, say unto the children of Israel, ye are a stiff-necked people, and I will come up in the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by Mount Horeb. So that was another time when the Lord was, and these are scriptures you can always go back and read on your own to get the full picture. I'm just giving you some areas where the Israelites murmuring and complaining just got on God's nerves, and Moses as well. So please try to learn from these people's mistakes. Do not murmur, do not complain. Just take it to the Lord in prayer and just let him work it out. Just give it to the Lord and leave it alone. Okay? Okay. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? How long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have shown among them, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them. And I will make of thee a greater nation and and mightier than they. And so, of course, and Moses said unto the Lord, then the Egyptians shall hear of it, for thou broughtest up this people in thy might from among them. And then he's basically talking God into not destroying the Israelites. Okay, so that's Moses standing in the gap for them again. And now this is Numbers. It says, separate yourself from among this congregation, and I will consume them in a moment. And they fell upon their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirit of all flesh, shall one man sin and without be wroth with all the congregation? And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the congregation, saying, get you up from about the tabernacle of Knock and what is that, Dathan. Let me pull this up some so I can see what I'm reading. Okay, speaking to the congregation, saying, get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Okay, so Moses did what God said. So see, Moses has been really trying to keep God from moving against them. Okay, because if it weren't for Moses, they would have been gone. They wouldn't have made it. And it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. And Moses said unto Aaron, take an incense and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly into the congregation and make an atonement for them. For the wrath is going out from the Lord, and the plague is begun. Well, what he did, he put a plague among them. And Aaron had to go and make atonement before them to stop the plague. It was dead on a certain amount were dead. Matter of fact, since I started reading a little further than what I had actually expected, I was just wanting to read the one scripture where God was upset with them. So he's talking about the plague had begun. And this is how many of them died as a result. It says, and Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation, and behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. That means the plague stopped right there where he was. Now, they that had died in the plague was 14,700. Besides them that died about the manner of Korah. Now Korah, the people that followed Korah, they were the one that got swallowed up in the earth. The earth opened his mouth and swallowed them up. So a lot of Israelites did not make it over, but as a matter of fact, it's a whole, we talk about the, how many Israelites. Okay, we didn't talk about that yet. Okay, I'm going to get into that then. How many Israelites did not even make it in there? You're going to be surprised. How many of them did not make it? A lot of them died along the way as a result of their stubbornness and disobedience. And so this is why you do not murmur and complain. I mean, try to look for the positive in anything. Don't always be so quick to want to look at the negative and start opening your mouth with negativity. Because God does not like that. I mean, no one likes a whining child. If any parent looked in a nursery and the nurse said, well, looked in the nursery to adopt a child, and they looked there, and they had a selection of 10 babies, and they're going to look for the baby that's quiet, that sleeps, this not, but the baby that whines all day, they're not going to be so quick to want to take that baby, because why? That's what they're going to have to tolerate when they take the baby home, is whining and crying all day. So understand, when you get to whining and crying, it is a nuisance. It is annoying. So please, just as you would not want to hear your child whining and crying all day, God does not want to hear you whining and crying over every little least thing, when you could have just came before the Lord in prayer and just told him what you wanted. And just because if you live right for God, if you live in the best to your ability before God every moment of every day, and you're not going to be perfect, you're going to mess up, you're going to make mistakes, because that's that flesh in us. Sometimes we do fall short. Sometimes it's like if we're on a diet and we get tempted, we want to get a piece of candy, and we're on a diet that's candy free. Sometimes we want to indulge. Okay, I've been on this diet for 2 months. I've lost some weight. Now I think I can enjoy a piece of candy. So sometimes the flesh does rise up. We want to satisfy this flesh sometimes, and I'm no different from anyone else. Sometimes, when I'm fasting on the Lord's Day, and we're going to get into the Sabbath and what God requires of us on the Sabbath. He tells us to afflict our soul. Sometimes I want to eat, but I love the Lord enough to not eat that day. So I press. Generally I can fast no problems, but occasionally I might not want, but I have to press sometimes. But believe me, when the fast is over with, I'm wanting to eat something. Even a little something, even if it's just a little something, or drink a little something. I don't eat or drink on the Lord's Sabbath. I fast that complete day from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. And there's been times when I got my days mixed up and I ended up violating the Sabbath. But God knew that my days were mixed up, and I repented. Lord, I'm sorry. I didn't even know that today was the Lord's Sabbath, because I get so busy sometimes I lose track of time. I mean, not track of time, but sometimes, the days pass so fast when you get busy that you can lose the track of which day it is. And I've done that. Okay, but it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people. Now we're going to talk about how stiff-necked they are. How God is referring to them as a stiff-necked people. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Okay, it says, now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and that I will make of thee a greater nation, a great nation. So God wanted to just give up on the Israelites and just let Moses, he was just going to let Moses, excuse me, become a great nation. And Moses, of course, stood in the breach for him, to keep him from destroying them. So Moses went through a lot, he really did, dealing with these Israelites. They were always coming at him and Aaron, murmuring and complaining and mocking them, and even got to a point where they wanted to stone them once. And it's just, wow, so much that he went through. He even got to a point where he told the Lord he didn't want to do it no more. He said, I mean, did I give birth to them? Am I their parent? I mean, that's when they got to complaining about the quails and wanted meat to eat. And he was like, I didn't birth these people. I need help. So he gave him 70 officers, chose 70 officers, and he empowered them, gave them some of Moses's empowerment to be able to deal with the people, to take some of the weight off of Moses. So it was really taxing for poor Moses. And he was so mad at them when they were complaining about something to drink, and at the waters of Meribah, I believe, and where God told Moses to speak unto the rock, Moses ended up striking the rock twice, and he called them rebels. He told them, here, rebels, and so then he struck the rock twice, and as a result of being so upset with them, dealing with them, that he ended up not making it into the promised land, because where God told him to speak unto the rock, he struck the rock. Even though water still did pour out, he didn't do it in the way that God instructed him to do it. And so as a result of dealing with all these people, he ended up not even making it in, even though he wanted to go. But God wouldn't allow him or Aaron. And Miriam also died along the way as well, and we'll read about her as well. But it says, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on his ornaments. Well, God got to the point where he couldn't tolerate them, so he put an angel to go before him. Okay? And this is God. Wow, And so murmuring and complaining, nobody wants to hear all that. So understand, if nothing else, let me see something. 3 through 5. Okay, I didn't read all the way down. Okay, so I'm going to read this again because it refers to them as being a stiff-necked people twice. Okay. And then he tells you down here, verse 5, for the Lord has sent Moses, for the Lord has said unto Moses, say unto the children of Israel, you are a stiff-necked people, and I will come up in the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped off their ornaments in the mount of Horeb. So we did read part of that earlier, but this is just highlighting how God is referring to them as being a stiff-necked people, because they were. They were getting on my nerves with just how quickly they would come up with something else, and what all they had to do with all that they seen, they knew at that point all they had to do was pray. What in the world? All you had to do was pray, and and you knew all you had to do was pray. And instead of praying, they murmured. It says, and the Lord delivered unto me 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of God, and on them was written according to all the words which the Lord spake unto you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that the Lord gave me 2 tablets of stone, even the tablets of the covenant. So understand that those tablets of stone that Moses received, or even the tables of, that's the covenant. That's the covenant. Okay, so the 10 Commandments is the covenant that we're to live by. All right. And the Lord said unto me, arise, get thee down quickly from thence. For the people which thou hast brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image. Furthermore, the Lord spake unto me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Okay? So God is referring to Israel as a stiff-necked people. All I've done for them, they're not appreciative. All they do is murmur and complain. And he says again, let me alone that I may destroy them and blot out their name from under the heaven. And I will make of thee a nation mightier and greater than they. So he was just going to take Moses and make the multitude out of Moses. Okay, because they had made this, they talked Aaron, which God ended up using as a priest. They talked him into making a golden calf, and they ended up worshiping this golden calf. Okay. Matter of fact, let me go further down to 25. Okay. So Moses stands in the gap at this point. He's taken up for them, as he continually had to do every time they got into it with the Lord. Let's see. All right. So Moses is kind of referring to them now as being a stubborn people, which they were. I mean, my goodness. Okay. So this is Moses having to continually take up form, telling God, remember thy servant Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Look not unto the stubbornness of this people, nor their wickedness, nor to their sin. So Moses had to come and keep taking up for these stiff-necked Israelites who just did nothing but basically murmur and complain the entire time through the entire journey. Okay. Now it's saying this is I don't know if this is Moses or God talking. Let me go up a little more and see who's talking here. Return the remnant of you. Okay, this is the Lord talking. The kings and the congregation. So, okay, this is the Lord talking. It says, and be not like your fathers, and like your brethren, which trespass against the Lord. Now, this is in Chronicles, so we're past the wilderness part. This is instructions where God is telling them up the road. Be not like your fathers, like your brethren, which trespassed against the Lord God of their fathers, who wherefore gave them up to desolation, as ye see. Now be ye not stiff-necked, as your fathers were, but yield yourself unto the Lord, and enter into his sanctuary, which he hath sanctified forever, and serve the Lord your God, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you. So he's telling you not to be like your stiff-necked as your fathers were. Don't be like them. Okay? We need to learn from their mistakes. Okay? It's important that we learn from their mistakes because they missed out on a blessing. And do you want to miss out on God's best? Well, if you don't want to miss out on God's best, then don't do the things which will cause you to miss out on God's best. We know that God does not like murmuring and complaining, so do not murmur and do not complain. Now we're going to look at how the Israelites died off in the wilderness. Okay, this is how some of them ended up, well, a lot of them ended up dying off. Okay, the Levites, okay, it came to pass where they got in trouble. Okay, they made the molten calf. You can see here, they took the calf which they made, so they made a molten calf, and they got in trouble. Moses said to Aaron, now Aaron is Moses' brother. Aaron went into Egypt with Moses. So Moses is like, and Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people do unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest that the people that they are set on mischief. So Aaron was under intense pressure by over 600,000 people that came out, and that was not including the mixed multitude that came out with him. So he had a lot of people on him, and he probably figured that if he didn't do it, they would probably stone him. But he had a lot of people that was against him. But this is how some of them died off. So they made this. Moses was, of course, furious with them. And this is what Moses told them to do. It says, and he said unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day 3,000 men. So now the tribe that came out is beginning to diminish in numbers. Okay, a lot of them did not, well, we're going to learn how many did not make it out, and you'll be surprised how many of them didn't make it as a result of their stubbornness and their complaining and just never being satisfied. Okay, so we're going to go down to 30. Okay. The people complained that they wanted that they wanted flesh to eat. Now I want to show you something about this here. I'm just kind of reading. Okay. And the fire burned some of the people up. Okay. Okay, now understand, it says, and when the people complained, it displeased the Lord. Your complaining displeases God. He does not like it. And the Lord heard it. And his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed them. And they were consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. So fire even consumed some of them. Okay, and they prayed unto Moses. And the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. Okay, so now we're going to get into this mixed multitude that came up. People who are not God's true Hebrew Israelites. Now, and when the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again, and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? Well, you can imagine that this mixed multitude was influencing these Israelites, putting bugs in their ear. Hey, I want some flesh. Don't you remember that? What we used to eat in Egypt, and they kind of roused the children up. This mixed multitude, be careful of that. People who are not of God that'll be putting bugs in your ear, stirring up stuff. Now the Israelites were already a headache, but as a result of them listening to these outsiders, now here they're coming at Moses again. Now they just got consumed with fire. And now here they done listen to this mixed multitude putting bugs in their ear to go and complain at Moses. It says, we remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our souls is dried away. There is nothing at all besides manna before our eyes. So now they're trying to say that manna, they don't like manna no more. They don't like, and I guess if you ate one thing every day all the time, I guess you would get bored with it or tired of it, but they weren't hungry where they were complaining that they were hungry. Well, now you're not hungry, but now you want something to appease your taste buds. So that mixed multitude got them aroused. So be careful of letting the mixed multitude, when they come out with the people, don't let them get to stirring up nonsense. If it's something that they feel, let them go say it themselves. Don't let them put bugs in your ear and send you for it to say it. Let them say it. Well, if you got a problem with it, go tell them yourself. Okay? I remember when I moved into the area that I bought my house in, I had neighbors coming expecting me to go before the council of the boards of the city and speak on their behalf. And I said, well, what's wrong with you speaking? Well, they won't listen to us. I said, well, what makes you think that they'll listen to me? Why? Because I'm black? You see what I mean? So people would try to use you, okay? So be careful of people that'll come at you with the motive to try and use you, thinking that using you might get them what they want. So be careful of things like that, okay? Now this is them wanting to meet. So God caused an east wind to bring the quails around, and the quails were, okay, it says, and the people stood up all that day and all that night. Okay, so the quails were about a day's journey out from them, and it surrounded the camp. So they had quails. It said the people stood all that day and all that night and all the next day, and they gathered the quails. And I mean, he that gathered least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them all about for themselves around the camp. And while the flesh was yet, okay, let's go up some, because the bottom isn't being shown. Excuse me, if I can go up some. Okay, I guess not. It says, and while the flesh was yet between their teeth, it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord smote the people with a very great plague. So they were constantly getting dealt with, you know. But see, with them, they ended up getting plagued, and when it says a very great plague while this was in their mouth, who's to say that something was wrong with those quails that caused some type of situation with them? You never really know, but a plague occurred with them. So understand, if you're gonna fall, trip yourself. You don't need nobody else tripping you. If I'm gonna fall, let me trip myself. I don't need nobody else to help me go down. I can take myself down if I want to go down. So don't let outsiders come at you, putting bugs in your ears. Like I let them know when they were wanting me to go up before the city and to speak on their behalf. I'm like, well, I don't have the issue. So if you have the issue, you're the one that needs to speak. In other words, I let them know you're not going to use me. Okay? So stop allowing people to use you, because they will. Now we're going to go to now this is Korath. And I'm trying to, because there was so many of them that was lost along the way. I don't want my cord to run out like it did last time, and I'll be talking for nothing. Okay, now this is Moses. This is Korath was Korah was a Levite as well. And so he's standing up against Moses for whatever reason, maybe because influenced by, let's see. I know it was supposed to be the chief people among the congregation. Okay. Okay, this is Korah. And Korah gathered all the congregation about them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. Okay, I was trying to read the part where it told you who he got with him. I know it was the chief people of his company. The princes, okay, well, let me see. How can I not find this? Okay, well. Took them in. Now Korah, the son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan, and and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, and the son of Peleth, the son of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with certain children of Israel, 250 princes. Oh, that's where it is. Okay, and they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. So he got all these mighty men that they are people high up in rank to get on his side to challenge Moses. Okay, so excuse me, I don't like going through all this, them complaining and all that. Is just so kind of depressing to me that they kept this nonsense up. So anyways, they challenged Moses. I'm gonna go down here and just tell you the aftermath of them. This is number 16. You can read it on your own. Okay, so this is what Moses is saying. Okay, so Moses, this is how Moses is just going to deal with them, because it's a whole group of them. And these are supposed to be the people that are chiefest among them and all this, but not all of their family members followed them. Some of them did come with Moses. Now, some of them was wise enough to know, look, I'm not following man, I'm following who I know the Lord is on his side. And they knew that the God was with Moses, some of them. And Moses said, hereby ye shall know that the Lord hath sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of mine own mind. If these men die the common death of all men, or if they visit